How do you know if you've done a good job or not? This is a question that I ask on every leadership program that I run when we're talking about feedback and motivation. And the answers I get are always the same. They range from things such as by looking at the data or my numbers, based on feedback from my boss, customers or colleagues, through to things like, I just know, I just feel it, or even, what do you mean, Ben? How do I know if I've done a good job or not? I don't really understand your question. Today, very quickly, I'm going to help you understand how you and those that you lead make these value judgments about whether something has gone well or not, whether you've done a good job or not, and the possible opportunity that this presents you if you can apply what I'm going to share with you today, and the risk that is posed by not fully understanding what I'm about to share with you. And this will really enable you to keep your team motivated and engaged and improve their performance. Hey, I'm Ben Morton. I'm a leadership mentor and performance coach, and I specialize in working with business professionals who are moving into senior leadership roles and who are committed to being the best leader that they can possibly be. What I'm going to share with you today comes from the world of neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. And what we're talking about here is what we call the frame of reference or motivational filter. For the sake of simplicity, let's just say that there is around about 50% of the global population that make their value judgments, that decide whether something's gone well or not, based on some internal scale. These people are what we call internally referenced. Now, that internal scale may have something or nothing to do with reality. They just know. And it's absolutely not about arrogance or ego, because if something hasn't gone well, or they believe it hasn't gone well, you could tell them it's great, and you're not really going to change their mind. So that's the internally referenced person. And to be clear, this is about whether or not they need feedback to know if they've done a good job. Internally referenced people don't need this feedback. They might like it, but they don't need it. Then, for simplicity, there's another 50% of the population who are what we call externally referenced. So they make these same value judgments, but based on some external data source. So they are looking for the feedback from their boss, the data, their sales figures, the employee engagement surveys, the customer satisfaction surveys. That's what tells them whether or not they've done a good job. These people need feedback to know if things are going well. Now, the main risk here for us as leaders, especially if we ourselves are internally referenced, is that because we don't need feedback, we forget that it's important to other people. So this means there could be around 50% of your team who feel as though they are working in a complete feedback vacuum. They are desperate and crying out for some feedback to know if they're doing a good job. And if they're not getting it, they're likely to start to feel quite demotivated or even undervalued. The other threat here, which it probably isn't quite as significant, but if you are very externally referenced as a leader and feedback is important to you, you are probably more likely to be giving a lot of it, which is great for the externally referenced people in your team. But for the internally referenced people, they might be sitting there saying things like, Ben, give it a rest with the feedback. I'm fine. I know I'm doing a good job. I don't need you telling me every 5 minutes. So there's the opportunity and the risk for you. The opportunity is to get more value, engagement from those that you lead by trying to understand a little bit about where your team's motivation comes from and how they know if they've done a good job, and then giving the right amount of feedback to the right people. I hope you found this useful. If you have, wherever you happen to be watching or listening, please just give me a thumbs up or a little click on the 5-star review, as that kind of really helps me. Other than that, look after yourself, look after those you've got the privilege and responsibility to lead. Until next time, folks, lead on.